Okay. Let's see, is the stream up? Yeah, stream is up. Good. Connected you quickly tonight. Okay, I want to preface this with the ominous sentence that the stream may go out if my power goes out. We've already had 2 power outages tonight. That's why we have a 1.5, 1 hour delay depending on when I can usually get the stream ready. So if my power goes out, the stream ends. And I think I'll probably just reschedule it till tomorrow and restart the whole thing, make sure that it's all in one nice continuous block. But if it cuts out unexpectedly, it's not on me. The weather is really angry. If you hear the thunder in the background, that's real. So, with that out of the way, this stream is going to be going over the sneak peek preview card for Enemy of Justice, Star Deck 7, then the main set, Enemy of Justice. The order's a little bit weird, so the sneak peek preview card comes out before the set, but I just put it as the first card in the set for clarity. Then we get Structure Deck 7 coming out after the set in this order. I don't think it really matters. There's 2 days difference, and I think you could actually get the Enemy of Justice cards. I think you could get the packs at the sneak peek event, but the sneak peek promo specifically came out at that point. Anyway, after Enemy of Justice, Star Deck 7, which is the Invincible Fortress, which is the infamous Fortress one. That's where we get Exod, Master of the Guard, of course. Followed by Lord of the Storm, I believe is the name of the Wind structure deck, which is interesting, but maybe not the best. After that, we got some very special jump promos to go over. Some of the very few cards to actually feature the cast of Yu-Gi-Oh! And by Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess I mean the Duel Monsters anime. So, let's get to it. Okay, first we're going to go over that sneak peek promo card with Toon Dark Magician Girl, who's in a class of her own when it comes to toons. Toon monsters are a little bit weird, and they have different restrictions and different conditions based on when they were released. In terms of an archetype, they're very strange. I know archetype is a little bit weird. It's sort of like how Union monsters were released and it was its own mechanic and card type or card ability, and didn't really become a coherent strategy until other archetypes used the Union mechanic, specifically Machina and the Alphabet mechs. But don't worry about it. Toons are both the archetype and the mechanic. Anyway, Toon Dark Magician Girl. Dark attribute, level 6. Spellcaster, Toon effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by tributing 1 monster while you control Toon World. If Toon World on the field is destroyed, destroy this card. Cannot attack your opponent directly, unless they control a Toon monster. I'm sorry, completely misread that. Can attack your opponent directly, unless they control a Toon monster, in which case this card must target a Toon monster for its attacks. Gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in either player's graveyard. Starts with 2000 attack, 1700 defense. Oh, Kuchi. What is that? Kuchito 08. EOJ came out on your brother's birthday? That's awesome. In terms of impact, I really wish that Toon Dark Magician Girl was playable in GOAT format. It'd give the deck another easy sack outlet. Right now you have Toon Summon Skull is basically the only one tribute one that you have in access to. This would also mean that you got another target for Deck Devastation Virus when you're running Toons in GOAT format specifically. Where does it fall? It's interesting that Toon Dark Magician Girl still has the destruction effect, but it doesn't have the summoning sickness. So this is one of the few toons that can attack the first turn you summon it. The leading theory is that they left out that because there was just so much text on the card, but I'm reading the most recent edition of the card, so it's got a lot of the wording slimmed down, which is nice. In terms of impact, I think it's good in Archetype. I don't think you're running a Toon deck today. I think it's a little bit weird when you're running the Toon deck, and you got better options now. It's outclassed by Cyber Dragon, so it's not really good on release. I really wish this card were playable in GOAT, is where I want to put it, but I think we're just going to put it in filler. It's interesting that the OCG and TCG have different GOAT formats. That is true. I've never thought about playing OCG GOAT. I wonder what options you have. I wonder if GOAT is renowned outside of the TCG. But that's okay. Toon Dark Magician Girl, I guess just filler. Next up, Destiny Hero Doomlord. Dark Attribute, level 3, Warrior effect. Once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls. Banish that target. You cannot declare an attack the turn you activate this effect. You must control this face-up attack position card to activate and resolve this effect. The banished monster returns to your opponent's side of the field your second standby phase after activation. 600 attack, 800 defense. And I don't know where I want to put this. This card is really easy to get out of the deck because you have Over Destiny. It's released in a few sets, but I'm talking about right now. You can special summon this guy directly from the deck if you have a Malicious or a Dogma or a Plasma in your graveyard. You banish that, and then you special summon it directly from the deck. There's some other ways that you can special summon it from hand within Destiny Heroes. This card does enable Destiny Draw, and it has some other synergy. It's easy to get out, and it's an impactful effect. It's not necessarily removal, but that could be a benefit. The problem is it removes your battle phase, and I don't know if that's worth it. Feels like it's good on release. I want to put it higher. I want to put it in worth considering today. In terms of Destiny Heroes, this is actually a pretty strong card. It's interesting that this is the first card in the set, too. A lot of sets start with their cover card, but I guess because the cover card's a fusion monster, it's got to go way deep into the set. I'm gonna say it's worth considering today. Maybe that's overrating it, but I think it's got either that or we put it in Gimmick. It's definitely acceptable in Archetype. How good is Burning Abyss Farfa? And this is sort of like Farfa. I don't know. We'll put it in. We'll come back to this one. I like the card a lot. Next up, Destiny Hero Captain Tenacious. Dark Attribute, level 3, Warrior effect. Once per turn, during your standby phase, you can target one Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle since your last standby phase. If you control this face-up card when the target was destroyed, special summon that target. Man, that is very specific. That you need to have this card face up, and then you need to have your monster destroyed by battle, and then you can get back that specific monster. And I know what you're thinking, that this card enables... well, I've lost the plot. Destiny Hero Disc Commander. And I guess it enables Disc Commander, but when we get Fearmonger, Fearmonger is what they actually used. I don't think that this card's even acceptable in Archetype. I think the effect is just too weak. If I have instead the stat lineup, 800, 800. Anime gimmick card in my honest opinion? Yeah. Hello, Rain. Would any other archetype like this card? I don't think so. And now, one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Destiny Hero Diamond Dude. Dark Attribute, level 4, Warrior Effect. Once per turn, you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal spell, send it to the graveyard. Otherwise, place it on the bottom of your deck. During the main phase of your next turn, you can activate the effect of that spell in your graveyard, even if you no longer control this face-up card. 1400 attack, 1600 defense. This card has had problem-solving card text. Specifically, the keyword excavate wasn't in the game for a long time. That's not a design mistake, that's just cleaning up the card. It still functions the same way as it always did. And as much pain as it causes me, I think this is as high as it gets to go, is meta at one point. There is a whole deck that's Diamond Dude Turbo. The goal of the deck, bring out Diamond Dude, set up your deck with cards like Feather of the Phoenix or later Plague Spreader Zombie, where you can put a specific spell onto the top card of your deck, mill it with Diamond Dude, and then be able to use the effect but not pay the cost of the spell. And there's a whole bunch of different cards that either have a difficult activation condition or a big cost affiliated with them. And Diamond Dude circumvents both of those. In a previous stream, we actually had Desk Croaking, which is funny. That Desk Croaking, the frog support card, saw play in Diamond Dude Turbo. Will we see Elemental Hero Redacted? I don't know. Redacted is in Strike of Neos. Interesting. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've compiled the list for Strike of Neos, but I guess I haven't gotten to it yet. But yeah, Diamond Dude Turbo, not just a meta deck, tier 1 at a couple points in the game. Very strong card. I like Destiny Heroes. I like E-Heroes too. I even like Evil Heroes. I like every single hero. But I got a soft spot for Destiny Heroes. And I know a lot of it's Destiny draw, but card's great. Special summoning this from the deck off of Over Destiny, also really fun. I just wish it weren't power crept out of the game. It's just slightly too slow. Waiting until your next turn isn't really an option in the game anymore, and that's sad. Next up, Destiny Hero Dreadmaster. Dark Attribute, level 8, Warrior Effect. If this card is special summoned by Clock Tower Prison, destroy all monsters you control except Destiny Hero monsters. Also, after that, you can special summon up to 2 Destiny Hero monsters from your graveyard. After this card is special summoned for the rest of the turn, Destiny Hero monsters you control cannot be destroyed. Also, you take no battle damage when they battle. The attack/defense of this card are equal to the combined attack of all other Destiny Hero monsters you control. Specific wording, make sure that it's not counting itself because that would cause calculation problems. Question mark attack, question mark defense. This card is weird. I think you can just normal summon this monster if you want to with 2 tributes. Like it says, if this card is special summoned by Clock Tower Prison, and then you have the destruction effect, and then you can special summon. But if you just normal summon it, then you're not getting this benefit, but you still get the attack and defense of the Destiny Hero monsters you gain. I don't know. And it doesn't say that you can't special summon it by other means. You could Monster Reborn this, or you could special summon it out of hand with like a hero emerges if you wanted to. The card is more interesting than it looks like, I think. But at the end of the day, I guess give your Destiny heroes a little bit of protection and get big attack points. Is that enough for the card to be worth it in Archetype? And I don't think so. I like the design that this card sounds like it's got terrible hoops with Clock Tower Prison, but it doesn't really. Maybe we put it in filler. I like the design though. Next up, Cyber 2/2. Earth Attribute, level 3, Warrior Effect. If the attack of each monster your opponent controls is higher than this card's, this card can attack directly. 1000 attack, 800 defense. There's a lot of these effects that are situational attack directly, like Black Tyranno had one, Rocket Jumper had one, Shadow Slayer had one. A lot of different ways to just get in for damage. I don't think any of them are particularly good. Compare it to like Raging Flame Sprite, where you can just attack directly and you get stronger each turn. Or I guess Mucus Yoke sort of does that, but not as well. Interesting that the Yu-Gi-Oh website has a different artwork for it. I actually like the website artwork better because I like the coloring. The purple's really nice. But I think that this card's just bad. Even if this was 1000 attack, attack directly, no restrictions, I don't think that'd be particularly good. Next up, Cyber Gymnast. Earth Attribute, level 4, Warrior Effect. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 attack position monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. 800 attack, 1800 defense. And this card is very interesting. It's got really low attack points. So I guess you normal summon this, you pop a monster, and then you can't really get in for damage, and they're probably going to run over this next turn. But this card sort of power creeps Arm Dragon level 5. Not really. You can discard any card for this one, but it only hits attack position monsters. And it is once per turn, so you can't spam it. But I think that this card just fits really well into your warrior toolbox. Maybe play 1 copy of Cyber Gymnast and be able to pop things situationally. And that's not bad at all. I'm going to put it good on release. Is it a good summon off of Giant Rat? Ooh, that's another good point. Yeah, special summoning this in your Rat toolbox would be even better because then you could rotate it into defense position during your turn, and 1800 is actual decent defense. Maybe it's a Rat toolbox target. Next up, Cyber Prima. Light Attribute, level 6, Warrior Effect. If this card is tribute summoned, destroy all face-up spells on the field. 2300 attack, 1600 defense. This card is almost a Monarch, which is a little weird. Like, they just barely missed the Monarch stat lineup of 2400 attack, 1500 defense, I believe, is what Monarchs have. And if it had that particular lineup being a level 6 1 tribute monster, it would be able to tap into some of the Monarch support later released in the game, which would be interesting. But in terms of effect, this card has a higher ceiling, technically, than Mobius the Frost Monarch. But I think the situations in which you're popping more than 2 spell cards are pretty narrow. And you can't get out of a lot of floodgate traps with this card either. I think we're just going to put in filler. Next up, Cyber Kieran. Light attribute, level 3, machine, effect. You contribute this card to make any effect damage you take this turn 0. 300 attack, 800 defense. I guess you could machine dupe this card, but I'm just thinking Death Wombat does this and remains on the field. I don't think this is a quick effect. So I think it's only during your turn too. And I think I'd just prefer to get Death Wombat. Because when's your opponent burning you during your turn? I mean, it happens, but I think the card's just bad. Next up, Cyber Phoenix. Fire attribute, level 4. Machine, effect. While this card is in attack position, negate any spell/trap effects that target one machine monster you control and no other cards. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card. 1200 attack, 1600 defense. And this card actually saw play in a specific deck, which was a hybrid deck, which could transition from a burn deck to a beatdown deck. And it played cards like Cyber Phoenix. Pretty interesting. I like how this card has a little bit of inherent protection. Not a lot. I mean, Sakuretsu Armor, Smashing Ground. I'm trying to think some other cards that target. It's not great protection, but it is interesting. I wonder if you could get this off of UFO Turtle. Would that be good? I also like how this card pays for itself. Next up, one of my favorite artworks in the set, Searchlight Man. Light attribute, level 3, machine effect, flip. I guess it should be machine flip effect. Flip. Your opponent cannot set or flip face down any cards for the rest of the turn. 1000 attack, 1000 defense. And it's just, why? I'm wondering if this is ever useful. I guess if you're playing against, like, Ghost Trick, maybe this is useful? Or Crawler? Or Subterror? I know that's all reaching. This card being a counter for any of those. It's just such a marginal effect. I get what they're doing. That they got Searchlight Man, and then later they got Guard Dog and Whirlwind Weasel, and they all sort of do variations of the same theme. But man, I really think if this card did the opposite of what it does now, and if it just revealed all set cards and they can't be activated in response to it, it'd be significantly better and more interesting and more thematically interesting. Because, you know, you're shining a searchlight and you're seeing what's concealed. But right now, I just think it's very bad. There's just nothing I can think of that's useful for this card. Next up, the Victory Viper XX03. Light attribute, level 4, machine. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, activate one of these effects. This card gains 400 attack. Target one face-up spell or trap on the field, destroy that target. Special summon one option token. Its type, attribute, level, attack, and defense are always the same as this card, but it leaves the field if this card is no longer face-up on the field. A little strange that it says it leaves the field. Because it's a token. It's not that it just gets destroyed, it leaves the field. Interesting. 1200 attack, 1000 defense. I like how this card is modal, but I think it doesn't have enough attack to run over anything. And if you're comparing it to cards that we have that do have effects that trigger off of destroying a monster by battle, then you gotta compare it to Hydrogeddon, which already has 1600 attack, which is, the amount that this would gain after already running over something. And Hydrogeddon has that option token effect where it can summon another copy of itself. Except the Hydrogeddon that you summon off of Hydrogeddon can then attack and possibly summon a third copy and push even more damage. This card can't snowball like that. The option token can't summon another option token. I guess the marginal benefit is being able to pop a face-up spell or trap, and that's not bad. There is a card later in the set that supports this card, but I just think it's a little too awkward and a little too slow to be useful. By the way, this card's another Gradius reference if you haven't picked it up. Next up, Swift Birdman Joe. And this set is continuing our theme of just printing cards that come out in the structure deck that comes out in the next, week or two, which is very weird. I know the Lost Millennium printed a lot of the cards that eventually come out in the Invincible Fortress, but this is so close to the Lord of the Storm release, and I think it's funny. But Swift Birdman Joe, Wind Attribute, level 6, Wing Beast effect. If you tribute summon this card by tributing a wind monster, return all spell and traps on the field to their owner's hands. 2300 attack, 1400 defense. Another card that's just missing out on Monarch status. In terms of impact, I think this card is okay. You're using up your normal summon, and that's a little bit of a hard sell. But you do get a giant Trunade effect, which means that you can reuse some of your important continuous spell and trap cards, which is good. You also get a little bit of disruption, make sure that your opponent doesn't have any nasty surprises on their side of the field face down. That's good. It has to be a wind monster specifically, and there's not great wind tribute to set up this card. I think we're just going to put it in good on release. It's not bad, but it's not great. Next up, Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon. Wind Attribute, level 4, Dragon, effect. This card gains effects based on the number of Harpy monsters you control. And finally, they have figured it out. All the Harpy Ladies support up until this point has only worked on Harpy Ladies, which has been very difficult for me personally to swallow. And that's because the Harpy Ladies treat themselves as Harpy Ladies, so the original Vanilla Monster, 1 through 3, Cyber Harpy Lady, all treat themselves as Harpy Lady at all times, which means you can only run a maximum of 3 of any of those in combination. And it makes the deck have serious consistency issues as a result. Later Harpy monsters fix this because they treat themselves as Harpy Lady when on the field and or in the graveyard, not at all times. So, this monster finally fixing it and just working on Harpy monsters in general is very nice. Except for Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon and Sky Scout, which used to be a Harpy monster, but never really should have been. In terms of effects, what are they? 1 or more, your opponent cannot target Harpy monsters you control for attacks except Harpy's Pet Baby Dragon. 2 or more, double the original attack and defense of this card. 3 or more, once per turn, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy that target. In terms of effects, I believe Amazoness Tiger has a similar first effect to this card, but getting it up to 2400 attack, that's not bad. Controlling 2 Harpies is a little bit difficult, unless you got one of the sisters out and then you activate Elegant Egotist and then you're already at 2. That's not that hard, especially if you got Harpies hunting around on the field and you've just popped 2 spell traps. Getting up to 3 is the dream. And, once per turn popping a card is very good at this point in the game. Especially for free. It doesn't cost you any resources. It's just getting there is a little hard. I believe this card saw play as an option in Harpies, that you'd play the Harpies dragon and sometimes the pet baby dragon with Channeler. So I'm going to safely say that it's meta at one point. I don't think you'd play this now. We do have Inferno Reckless Summon in the game, so I guess you could pretty easily get 3 Harpies out at the same time. And then pop a card with this, and that's pretty decent, and then go in for 2400 damage. It is a dragon, so it doesn't quite work with Harpy Lady number 1, I believe, is the one that gives winged beasts specifically more attack, but it's good on theme. Next up, we get this micro archetype of Majestic Mech. I believe there's only 3 printed, and later there's like Malevolent Mech, and I think there's another retrain of the mech theme, but I believe these are the only 3 Majestic Mechs, and there's not like support for the archetype. Anyway, Majestic Mech Senku, light attribute, level 4, fairy effect. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, draw 1 card. During the end phase of the turn this card was summoned, send it to the graveyard. 1000 attack, 500 defense. I think they understand how strong and effective drawing 1 card is, but the way that these cards are balanced is very off-putting. They send themselves to the graveyard. Getting in specifically with the direct attack is also really hard, and it only has 1000 attack points. I don't know how you're going to do that. I guess equip it with Shooting Starbow Seal? Then you wouldn't have enough attack points. Activate Secret Pass to the Treasures, but there are better cards that get in for damage that don't self-destruct. I'm thinking the Dark Scorpions are actually better than Senku in a lot of circumstances, which is funny. If this card didn't self-destruct, I'd put it in Filler Outclassed. But I'm just going to put it in very bad for now. And it's the end phase of the turn that this card was summoned. So even if you special summon this off of, like, Shining Angel, it's not surviving the end of the turn. Next up, Majestic Mech Oka. Light attribute, level 6. Fairy effect. You can normal summon this card without tributing a monster. If you do, it is sent to the graveyard during the end phase. 2400 attack, 1400 defense. And it's sort of interesting. We have Fusilier the dual mode beast, and we have Behemoth King of the Animals that sort of do this, where they're circumventing it, but they don't self-destruct. They just have lower attack points as a result. You could have this in your skill drain beat down deck, I guess, but I just don't think it's worth it. Oka is kind of good. I guess the dream situation is you normal summon Oka without a tribute, you get over a big monster, and then you creature swap it to your opponent, and then they get the monster, they get Oka sent to the graveyard, and you get to keep your monster, or keep their monster. That's not bad. I want to put it in filler. The last part of the effect is bad, yeah. And the last part is definitely really bad. I think you're just better off running Behemoth. And Behemoth has other useful properties that you get to recycle beast monsters, and you can set up for different combos with it. I think Oka's just underwhelming. And now for the big guy. Majestic Mech Goryu. Oh, Goryu. It's a dragon. I just got that. Light attribute, level 8, fairy effect. You can tribute summon but not set this card with 1 tribute. If summoned this way, during the end phase, send it to the graveyard. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. 2900 attack, 1800 defense. We have a theme. I guess these guys, short-lived, very impactful, and then they just go away. They're like a fad. On one hand, you can bring this card out with more than 1 tribute, or if you special summon it, then it's not going to self-destruct. That's not bad. 2900 and piercing isn't bad either. But I think that there are better options. I think this card might have a weird interaction with Kaiser Seahorse, where Kaiser Seahorse still counts it as 2 tributes, even though you're tributing 1 monster. I think I'm just going to put it in bad. That there are better options for 2 tributes and better options to just revive a monster. I know this card's in the Dragon Lord structure deck that has Felgrand on the cover. I just think it's underwhelming. Next up, Royal Knight. Light attribute, level 3, fairy effect. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, gain life points equal to the defense of the destroyed monster. 1300 attack, 800 defense. It's got interesting art. I wonder what the lore implications are. It's sort of got the same scaly body that the Majestic Mechs have, and it's got orbs, and it's a fairy. I think these cards are related, but I don't know how in the lore. It's 1300 attack. It's difficult to get over monsters at that point. And your benefit is just that you gain life points. And strangely, it's the defense of the destroyed monster. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a problem, but I think life point gain one of the lower impact effects in the game, and Royal Knight is not doing a great job of it. Next up, finally, we get to a good card. Well, I wouldn't say that. Finally, we get to a card that I think is worth considering today. Spoiler. Herald of Greenlight. Light attribute, level 2, fairy effect. When your opponent activates a spell card, quick effect. You can send this card and 1 other fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. 300 attack, 500 defense. So there are actually 3 Herald monsters in the main deck. 3 of these. There's Herald of Greenlight, Herald of Purple Light, and later Herald of Orange Light. I don't know why Herald of Orange Light isn't in this set. I think these are all really expensive. You're going -1 in order to deal with something. But I think they're also worth it. That these are very strong skill testing cards. You need to know what to negate, when to negate, and what circumstances your hand is worth throwing away a resource like this. But there are a lot of decks that rely on a 1 normal spell for the turn. That's either how they get their combos started or it's an extension tool. There's a lot of ways that Herald of Greenlight can mess up your opponent's strategy. And I think that it's worth considering. I know it's expensive, but there are ways around it, and there are ways to regain or recoup some of the advantage that you lose from it. It's a pretty good hand trap, even though it's just spell cards. I know monster effects are where it's at, and Herald of Orange Light is definitely going to be worth considering when we finally get it, but not this set. I guess the sister card to this, or maybe brother card, is Herald of Purple Light. Light attribute, level 2, fairy effect. When your opponent activates a trap card, quick effect. You can send this card and one other fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. 300 attack, 500 defense. I don't think Herald of Purple Light is worth even thinking about, because trap cards aren't a significant part of the metagame anymore. There are decks that use trap cards. There are particular trap cards that are so strong that they find their way into decks. And I'm not talking about hand traps or traps that you can play from hand like Infinite Impermanence and Typhoon. I guess you could be countering those with Herald of Purple Light, but that's super niche. At that point, maybe you'd be running Red Reboot. I don't know. Interesting idea. Anyway, Herald of Purple Light I just think is too narrow for this point in the game. If traps make a big return, then yeah, this card is definitely worth considering. But they're just too slow for the main game. And I know the Labyrinth cards exist, and I think the Butler in particular is amazing because it makes traps almost fast enough for the metagame. But that card's also expensive, and it's only at 3, and it's not consistent as a result. Purple Light is fine since it can counter Impermanence. Still not as good as the others. I guess. Okay. If you want to be super generous, we can put it in worth considering today. But I think I'm just going to keep it in meta at one point. Next up, Bountiful Artemis. Light attribute, level 4, fairy effect. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, draw one card. 1600 attack, 1700 defense. This card is the most important part of your counter fairy deck. This is the draw power that you need. There are a lot of counter traps in the game at this point, and a lot of them are really easy to go -1 with. There are good options like Magic Drain and Trap Jammer and 7 Tools of the Bandit, but Bountiful Artemis helps you mitigate some of the disadvantage of your cards like Spell Shield Type 8 or Magic Jammer. This is the cornerstone of your counter fairy deck. You want to draw this card. There are other options that you can play in counter fairies, but this is the backbone. That being said, I don't think counter fairies are good enough. We got Guiding Ariadne right now, which also helps counter fairies quite a lot because it removes costs. It removes the life point and discard cost of counter traps. So you can just be running the Solemn Brigade and the Divine Wrath and a whole bunch of other cards that otherwise wouldn't see play just because they're too expensive. Just got here, I want to say that the Crystalline Angel aesthetic for fairies in this era of the game was super interesting. I wish they kept it up in some way. Interesting. I don't know when we get more crystal fairies. I guess we keep getting more heralds. They sort of look like crystal-y. If you ever play Doom Eternal, they look crystal-y. But yeah, Bountiful Artemis. If counter fairies were good enough to play today, this card would definitely be in your counter fairy deck. It's just that they're too slow, and it's a little bit easy to deal with them now. And your opponent just summons a kaiju on top of your Bountiful Artemis, and you're real sad. What's your counterplay to that? Next up, Layard the Liberator. Light attribute, level 4, fairy effect. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, add 2 of your banished fairy monsters to your hand. 1400 attack, 1500 defense. This is another card which is good for terms of card advantage in your counter fairy deck. I think the problem with this card is using it correctly. How are you banishing your fairies out of your graveyard? I guess if you're running, Banisher of the Radiance, which is the next card in the set, that explains it, or Macrocosmos, or Dimensional Fizzer. Man, this set really had a theme. In your anti-meta variant of counter fairies, that makes sense. Going +2 is really strong, and this helps you recoup a lot of your advantage, and I guess it makes the Herald cards much easier pills to swallow. I believe you play like 1 or 2 copies when you do play counter fairies of Layard the Liberator. I just don't know what the banishing outlet is in those decks. But still, real good card advantage. Help to supplement your Divine Wrath. Next up, Banisher of the Radiance. Light attribute, level 3, fairy effect. Any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. 1600 attack, 0 defense. Is this card, as a floodgate, worth considering today? I don't know. Banisher is really strong. I just want to point out that a lot of decks really rely on their graveyard. Are you using your normal summon on this card? Maybe. Are you getting this out with like Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen, and not using your normal summon? Maybe. I feel like if you're tacking this onto your board at the end of your big push, it's pretty good. Because it'll disrupt a lot of your opponent's strategy, and you've already established your board. But it is a symmetric effect. Oh no, not Banisher. I think we put it here because it's a pretty good floodgate monster. There's the new Morganites that help stun decks. This is a decent option for stun, but not as good as the barrier statues. I agree, barrier statues are crazy. One of them even got banned, it's so good. But it got banned because Samorg is overpowered. Or Swallow's Nest actually is another option that just special summon it out directly from the deck. I don't know why, but I thought all the barrier statues were fiend-type monsters. But no, they're more appropriate. So there's a fairy, a winged beast, a pyro, a aqua, a rock. Fairy, winged beast, pyro, aqua, rock. And fiend. I think it's worth considering today. Very wise of Konami to give him 1600 attack, though. Imagine getting him off a Shining Angel at the time. Yeah, it's banned because of Flow or Nova Summoner. Oh, yeah, getting Banisher off of Nova Summoner, that'd be nice. You can get Banisher of the Radiance off of either of those cards, though, I think. Would Layard be better if it pulled from the graveyard? Probably. But I think the card's still playable as it is. Next up, Voltanis, the Adjudicator. Light attribute, level 8, fairy effect. After one of your counter traps has been activated and has resolved, you contribute all monsters you control to special summon this card. If this card is special summoned in this way, you can destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of fairy type monsters you tributed. 2800 attack, 1400 defense. Oh no! Optimizing everything. You missed all the cool fairies? Not quite. I think Adjudicator's cool. But yeah, you did miss most of the impactful ones. But luckily, more Jaden monsters are coming up. Not just Jaden monsters. We got Ito/Aster. He has a couple here. And who else? And then we got some weird ones at the end, too. The newer main deck Parshaf is way better for counter fairies, I agree. Voltanis was insane. It is a very interesting card. I like how it gives you board presence. It consolidates your board. You gotta tribute your monsters, though. This is a really good boss monster design, though. I like that a lot. The more you put in, the more you get out of it. A little bit skill testing. Stats are pretty decent for the time. I do agree, it's been power crept, though. I think the dragon card that triggers off of counter traps is better than Voltanis, but for the time, this is pretty good. Next up, Guard Dog. Earth attribute, level 3, beast effect. Should be beast flip effect. Flip. Your opponent cannot special summon for the rest of this turn. 1500 attack, 500 defense. How do you get this card to work for you is the big question. Guard Dog's effect is fantastic. Your opponent can't special summon for the rest of the turn. Might mean that you win the game off of this one effect. It's insane in Prediction Princess and Mimagools, yeah? Is the Subterror Guru tech control? Okay. Is the Subterror Guru control tech? Sadly, flip effects aren't good enough. I feel like there should be a hand trap that just flips one of your face down monsters face up and then back face down. And Guard Dog would be a really good target. It's slow and it's vulnerable is the problem. You don't have a good way of activating it during your opponent's turn is another problem. Pretty consistent in Subterror. Was Subterror tier worth considering? Was Subterror a good enough deck? I thought it was always Fringe. The effect is really strong. You just can't use it correctly. Next up, Whirlwind Weasel. Guru Control was meta viable at some point, but they never played Guard Dog at the time. Oh no! The stars just don't align for this card. I think we're missing one important card to be printed, and then Guard Dog will actually be okay. But I think the whole flipping mechanic and the whole trap mechanic are just too slow for the game. Even at this point in the game, we're getting to the point where flip effects are not really valuable anymore. They're still okay. We're still in some grindy formats, but we got Cyber Dragon. Never had a chance. Aww. Next up, Whirlwind Weasel. So I think this is a Tachikoma reference, that there are these yokai where there's 3 weasels. We get them later when we get comma 1 through 3. I believe the Whirlwind Weasel is a reference to the same yokai. Wind attribute, level 3. Beast flip effect, flip. Your opponent cannot activate any spell or traps for the rest of this turn. 500 attack, 1500 defense. I think the effect is not bad. But when you think about what's currently in the game, we have Cold Wave. And Cold Wave does this better. And by the time that Cold Wave is banned, this effect is significantly worse. possibly this card is worse than Ancient Gear Cannon if you just wanted to shut off battle traps. I played this in Samorg Wind Structure deck as a kid, and it always did exactly nothing since it only affects their main phase too. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Man, you got the Samorg Structure deck growing up? That's hard. If you got the Zombie Madness one, that one was pretty good. Next up, we're moving into our Awakened Charmers, I believe is the name of them. We had the Familiar Possessed, and now we have the Awakened version, I think? Or is it the Cataclysmic? There's a whole bunch of different versions of these cards. They all have pretty much the same effect. So, Avalanching Ossa, Earth Attribute, level 4, Spellcaster effect. Once per turn, you contribute 1 Earth monster, except this card, to special summon 1 Earth monster from your hand. The monster special summoned by this effect is destroyed if Avalanching Ossa is removed from your side of the field. 800 attack, 1500 defense. Raging Iria, water attribute, level 4, spellcaster effect. Once per turn, you contribute 1 water monster, except this card, to special summon 1 water monster from your hand. The monster special summoned by this effect is destroyed if Raging Iria is removed from your side of the field. 800 attack, 1500 defense. Blazing Gita, fire attribute, level 4, spellcaster effect. Once per turn, you contribute 1 fire monster, except this card, to special summon 1 fire monster from your hand. The monster special summoned by this effect is destroyed if Blazing Gita is removed from your side of the field. 800 attack, 1500 defense. Storming Wind, wind attribute, level 4, spellcaster effect. Once per turn, you contribute 1 wind monster, except this card, to special summon 1 wind monster from your hand. The monster special summoned by this effect is destroyed if Storming Wind is removed from your side of the field. 800 attack, 1500 defense. Whew. All these cards are like 4 versions of the same card, just attribute shifted. And I feel like them always being back to back to back to back in sets is a little bit much. I guess no one is supposed to be reading every card in the history of the game coming out in the order that they came out, but, you know, there's got to be someone. I think these cards as a whole are interesting. We have Big Wave, Small Wave, which sort of does this for water monsters. And I don't know how I feel about them. They're not bad tempo plays, but how do you get them out on the field is the first question. The second question is, if you already have a monster on the field, is it worth tributing that monster to bring out one from your hand? And usually not. Whirlwind Weasel would actually be good if flip effects like Prediction Princess or Mimigul were actually viable. I can agree with that. Yeah, this dude's a yokai. Weirdly big mountain Yosenju guy name is based on the Weasel yokai. Yeah. These Charmers are forgotten by the new Charmer support. The art is cool though. The light and dark Charmers don't get their version of these cards. Yeah, the light and dark Charmers are going to take forever for them to work. I think we just got the water Charmer in Abyss Rising. So we got all the searches, but the light and the dark searcher that discard themselves and 1 card of the same attribute to pull any card from the same attribute out of your deck. Those will take forever just because light and dark are so much stronger than the other attributes. It's sad they don't get the support of the current cards. I think they're filler. They're just too balanced. You think that your deck can run it, like maybe Fire Kings could run Hita because it would destroy it and then you'd trigger your Fire Kings. Maybe it'd be worth the tempo play. Or maybe you could be running Iria in a water deck and, you know, get your Treeborn Frog, tribute your Treeborn Frog, and then pull out something more useful out of your hand. I see why these cards might have some potential to someone, but to me, they're just not impactful enough. They do synergize with Supply Squad. That would be interesting. They're also really weak, so you're not normal summoning this card. And if you are normal summoning this card, then you already used your normal summon and you can't self-extend with these. Overall, I think they're just not worth it. But I do agree. Some of the best Charmer artwork, I guess. I like Hyuta a lot. Next up, Batteryman D. Light attribute, level 1, Thunder effect. Your opponent cannot select Your opponent cannot select a Thunder-type monster you control as an attack target except Batteryman D. 0 attack, 1900 defense. It's got a lot of defense for being level 1. It synergizes with the other Batterymen, which is better than some of the other ones. I think C is the one that doesn't. You could bring 2 of these out and lock your opponent. I don't think you run this in Archetype. It's just underwhelming in Archetype. There is one particular support card coming up next that you might consider running D for, but probably not. I think it's just filler. You can lock with 2 of these cards on the field. Yeah, you can with Batteryman D or Marauding Captain, and Marauding Captain's searchable with Reinforcement of the Army and special summons the other copy of Marauding Captain directly out of your hand. And I think when you make that comparison, D is less useful. Oh yeah. Batteryman can't do the Marauding Captain / Dupe Frog lock. Right. You can't do that. Because you can still target... Oh, you could still target it. Oh man, it is even worse than that. I think this card is just bad. But what about in context? What if you're attributing it for Super Electromagnetic Voltec Dragon? Light attribute, level 5, Thunder effect. If you tribute summon this card by tributing one of the following monsters, it gains the appropriate effect. Batteryman D. Negate the effect of a spell or trap card that targets this one card. That's not bad. Batteryman C. During battle between this attacking card and a defense position monster whose defense is lower than the attack of this card, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent. This card has not had problem-solving card text to describe piercing battle damage, it seems. Batteryman AA. This card gains 1000 attack. Starts with 2400 attack, 1000 defense. I don't think there's any gimmick that you could do to increase this guy's level and then tribute 2 of the following monsters. And even if you could, I don't think that the card functions that way. So, you get your choice of one of these 3 effects, but not really. It's basically whatever you tributed and based on your board state. C is pretty useless in the Batteryman deck. It only gives it piercing battle damage. That's not a lot of attack points. This is a pretty mediocre effect. D gives it a little bit of protection. That's not bad. And D is pretty easy to keep on the field. Or AA, this card gains 1000 attack. It can attack over a Blue Eyes. I don't think you run this in Batteryman. Hey, it has the Monarch stats. That's true. One of the worst boss monsters, it has to tribute summon and is a level 5. I don't know if he's one of the worst boss monsters. We got Exod Master of the Card in this video, so I would not put him in the worst boss monsters. He's like a mini boss. think he's not acceptable in Archetype. I think he's just filler. It'd be cooler if you equipped as many uniquely named batteries as possible from the graveyard as he's summoned. Yeah, that'd be much better. I think we get this concept done a little better in a couple of sets when we get the machine structure deck and they got the Gadgetron Dragon, the Ancient Gear Gadgetron, and the Chimera. They do it a little bit differently. I like the idea though. It's just lining up specific cards with this and then using your normal summon to tribute it is a little hard. Moving on to the fusions, we have Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Fire attribute, level 6, warrior fusion effect. Materials are Elemental Hero Avian and Elemental Hero Burstenetrix. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. 1000 attack, 1200 defense. I think conceptually, this card is very interesting. It's got specific fusion materials, and this is Flame Wingman's fusion materials for the record. It's still an elemental hero monster. So it's like 2 different flavors. And I like that. If you had unlimited extra deck space, you would definitely run this and you would run Flame Wingman in the same deck, because situationally this card could be better. It sucks that you can't special summon it by other ways though. I think being able to bring this back in defense mode with like Monster Reborn or, you know, a card similar to that would make it significantly stronger. It'd be cooler. Oh, I already read that. Jaden cards, here we go. This isn't even a Jaden card. This is an Aster card. Like, it's definitely using the same elemental heroes, but Aster in the anime used Phoenix Enforcer and Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Do you play it in your extra deck? Unfortunately not. It's not bad. I think we just put it in filler. A little sad. It's cool how it retained... it's cool how it got retrained as Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Yeah, I like that too. Next up, Elemental Hero Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Another hero monster. Fire attribute, level 8, warrior fusion effect. Materials are Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer plus Elemental Hero Sparkman. Must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card gains 300 attack for each elemental hero card in the graveyard. In your graveyard. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. 2500 attack, 2100 defense. It doesn't even get that much stronger when you add in the Sparkman. But I don't know. I like how this card is very similar to Shining Flame Wingman. And you could bring this card out with a fusion substitute card. Not a Hex Sealed Fusion. Well, it's fire attributes, so definitely not a Hex Sealed Fusion. But you could be using, like, for Saga the Destroyer, for instance, and Sparkman to bring it out a little bit easier. Because it doesn't say a fusion summon must be conducted with the above materials on this one. This card gets lots of attack points, but if you're talking about cards that get lots of attack points, then I guess you're comparing this to Dark Paladin, and Dark Paladin gets more attack points and has a more useful effect in terms of protecting itself. Destruction by battle is okay, but if this card's really, really strong, does it need destruction by battle? I think we're going to say it's a little bit worse than the Phoenix Enforcer. Which is sad, because this is the cover card. Next up, Elemental Hero Mariner. Water attribute, level 5. Warrior fusion effect. Materials are Elemental Hero Bubbleman and Elemental Hero Avian. Must be fusion summoned. While you have any set cards in your spell and trap zones, this can attack your opponent directly. 1400 attack, 1000 defense. That effect is not bad. And when we compare it to a lot of other monsters that can attack directly, 1400 is getting up there, but it's still not great. I think this card still gets outclassed by Raging Flame Sprite. The bar for having a set card in your spell and trap card zone is not hard to reach, though. And the materials are not bad. Or at least Bubble Man's really good. You're running Bubble Man. Shining Flare Wingman also gains attack points. Shining Phoenix Enforcer is outclassed by its counterpart. I agree. Mariner is interesting since it's an instant fusion target. Could be useful one day as an extender in Heroes. Okay. Zeus material. Okay. Interesting. I do like how it's level 5. I think we'll put it in acceptable in Archetype. Next up, Elemental Hero Wild Wingman. Earth attribute. Level 8 Warrior Fusion effect. Materials are Elemental Hero Wildheart and Elemental Hero Avian. Must be fusion summoned. You can discard one card, then target one spell or trap on the field. Destroy that target. 1900 attack, 2300 defense. I guess in terms of card economy, you gotta compare this to like Thunder Giant. And you're only popping spell and trap cards for the same discard cost. So it's not as good as Thunder Giant, but Thunder Giant's also restricted to what it can pop. It's not bad. If you had unlimited extra deck space, you would run it. But I think, sadly, the reality of Elemental Heroes is you just don't. Wildheart is good enough to play on its own, but then you're still playing Avian. And Avian's pretty weak. Next up, Elemental Hero Necroid Shaman. That name is so weird. Necroid means that this card is a member of the Roid archetype. So we had Dark Geroid, and now we have Necroid Shaman in terms of our non-machine Roid monsters. Is this for the lore? I don't know. Like, UFO Roid Fighter is also a Roid monster, and yes, that one has some lore, but I don't know what the lore is for Necroid Shaman. I think it's this card is just one of those mistakes. But they just rolled with it. 11 out of 10, the best Roid boss monster from Lyrical Star. I don't agree with that. I think the Mobile Fortress Roid monster is actually pretty good, and I think Barboroid, the big one that takes 5 to fusion summon, was pretty okay. Was literally about to say another Cyrus card. No, I don't think that Cyrus was even involved. I think this is just a Jaden card that happens to be a Roid monster. Dark Attribute, level 6, Warrior Fusion effect. Materials are Wildheart, Elemental Hero Wildheart, and Elemental Hero Necroshade. Must be fusion summoned. I'm so glad they got it correct. If this card is special summoned, target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. Then special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard to their field. 1900 attack, 1800 defense. That effect is weird. This isn't card advantage because you're instantly replacing what you did. This card also enables destruction triggers if they have a monster that wants to be destroyed, and a lot of decks do nowadays. On the other hand, you could give them something pretty useless. It depends on what's in their graveyard. There's a lot of stepping stone monsters in the game now, where you want to use them for your combo, but they'll end up in the graveyard or banished, and you don't really care about them. Getting back one of those, that's not bad. Necroid Shaman can be summoned easily with the new Roid support? Okay. No, I'm aware. Shaman being a Roid is definitely unintentional. I think it's funny though. 1900 attack, 1800 defense. The stat lineup's not great either. Even if you summon this monster, how disruptive is it? Popping one of their cards and then replacing it. I can almost see it being in a gimmick though. I just don't know what for. Next up, we got a very familiar face. Let's pull up the picture. Any guesses on who this is a reference to? We got 3, 2, 1. Lock your answers in. It's Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon. I think that's a pretty cool idea. It's a good reference. Anyway, Misfortune, normal spell. Select one face-up monster your opponent controls. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that monster's original attack. Your monsters cannot attack this turn. I think Misfortune doesn't really do anything. The situations where this is useful are pretty slim. I'm trying to think what the highest natural attack number that you're going to run into is going to be. And maybe you're burning for 1500 attack worth if it's like a Blue Eyes or a big boss monster. And that's okay. It's not Linear Accelerator Cannon where it's locking you out of spells for the rest of the turn, but it is locking you out of your battle phase. I think this card's balanced pretty well. It doesn't target, it selects, which is good at least. But I think the ceiling of this card is much lower than it should be. Sailor Moon lore. Best case scenario would be 2,500 damage. Yeah. I just don't see the utility. Next up, we got the Sesame Street cards, I guess. We're going to spell out a word. The word of the day is hero. I do want to point out that we got some other letter cards in the game too. We got the Forbidden Boards, so we got DEATH in Japan, and we got FINAL. So you could spell out some more words now for your alphabet deck. I guess we also got like D signal and D time in this set if you wanted to add D into the list. Of course, we had the D from the Japanese Forbidden Board, but I'm talking about the TCG alphabet learn how to spell cards. Great art though. Oh yeah. Well, sorta. I think the art is a little bit weird. It's just a big letter. They really stand out though. I like them a lot. But it's just a big letter. Cooler than FINAL. Yeah, I can agree with that. But the word of the day is hero. Let's start with H. Heated Heart. Normal spell. Target one face-up monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it gains 500 attack. And if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Notice how this doesn't care if it's a hero monster. I guess you could be splashing this into other decks if you wanted to. When we compare this to like Big Bang Shot, right? Big Bang Shot gives you 400 attack, piercing battle damage, but you also banish what you destroy. This is until the end of the turn, so it's not great. I think in general, we're going to talk about the hero cards together when we get to Hero Flash at the end. But I think H Heated Heart is okay. I never realized these can be applied to non-heroes. Not all of them, just some of them. A popular pick in progression draft, H was definitely had its day in the sun. Oh, no, great artwork on Misfortune, not on the hero cards. Oh, I get it. Next up, E, Emergency Call. Normal spell, add one elemental hero monster from your deck to your hand. Not once per turn. It is restricted to just E heroes, and yep. If you're running hero monsters, if you're running elemental heroes specifically, you're running Emergency Call. You're probably maxing out on E Emergency Call. E is the best? I agree. E is the best letter. This is just a really good searcher. Modern day, you're probably searching like Blaze Man, Shadow Mist, Bubble Man. There's a decent number of options for elemental heroes. If this card was just hero in general, and you could search your D heroes, your evil heroes, it would be so busted. E. Modern decks spell out E, not hero. Yeah. Oh, and you get to run E Emergency Call and Rhoda. Thank you, Yugi. E searches Stratos, which searches every hero group. E is so good, yeah. Stratos is really good too. Hero has so much consistency because of it. Oh yeah. You also get some other consistency cards. You get Fusion Conscription if you're running specific ones. You get Prisma. Elemental Hero Prisma helps with consistency a lot. Rhoda, of course. E was necessary until the recent years. If it was any hero monster, this card would have gotten banned. Yeah. I think E is still worth considering. It's deck thinning. Even in other decks that are just happening to run Prisma, or maybe you want to tech in some of the masked heroes, then you can still be running E Emergency Call and getting, what is it? Ooh, the mass changes directly from your deck. Not bad. E is also not once per turn. Yeah. Card's really good. I'd say that like E Emergency Call is just under Toon Table in terms of archetype searchers. Next up, R, Righteous Justice. Normal spell, destroy spell and traps on the field equal to the number of elemental hero cards you control. It says elemental hero cards. Are there continuous spell or trap elemental hero cards? It doesn't say monsters. That's a little bit weird. Maybe it's just future-proofing? But I can't think of any. Anyway, I think that this card is important to remember when it came out in the game. And it's okay on release. We got Stamping Destruction. We got Mystical Space Typhoon. We got Dust Tornado. We got Breaker the Magical Warrior, but Breaker gets banned for a little bit of time. We got Heavy Storm. There's not a lot of good spell and trap removal, and this card scales really well. I think that our Righteous Justice is slightly outclassed by Elemental Hero Stratos, since Stratos can also pop, but it gives you more options in your hero deck. So would Skyscraper count? Skyscraper 2 Hero City? No, that one doesn't have Elemental Hero in its name. I guess you can put Elemental Hero cards in the spell and trap zones with cards like Sinful Spoils and the new Exodia field spell. R can potentially be a heavy storm or at worst be an MST. Yeah. I think R is good for the time though. I wouldn't be surprised if you are running R in different variants of your Elemental Hero deck throughout the years, in terms of when Elemental Heroes were meta. So. Finally, last letter, O, Oversoul. Normal spell, target one Elemental Hero normal monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. And we gotta ask ourselves, are normal monsters good? Not yet. You can get back Elemental Hero Neos, and there is a ton of Neos support to get him into the graveyard, and that's not that bad of an extension option. Other options, I guess you could be using like Sparkman, Clayman, Burstinatrix, and Avian. Neos Alias is also a good target. Oh yeah, Neos Alias is treated as a normal monster in the graveyard. Forget about that one. Oh, might be the worst here, but it's fine at the time. I can agree with that. And when you put them all together, you get Hero Flash with 2 exclamation marks. Banish H, Heated Heart, E, Emergency Call, R, Righteous Justice, and O, Oversoul from your graveyard. Special summon 1 Elemental Hero normal monster from your deck. All Elemental Hero normal monsters you currently control can attack your opponent directly this turn. This is your big payoff card. I guess the question is special summoning directly from the deck good? Yes. Is special summoning a normal monster directly from the deck good? Less good. You can get your Neos directly out of the deck, and Neos could attack directly, and I guess if you got other normal normal elemental heroes, you could push some more damage. I think the problem with Hero Flash, outside of having to run 4 very specific cards and line them up and all have them in the graveyard, is that the impact is not very big. If you wanted to be generous, you could be running Magical Hats, and then you can just dump 3 of the 4 cards, the H, R, and O, directly into your graveyard. You wouldn't be having to run too many copies of those. I think H, R, and O on their own are okay. Or I guess I put them good on release. But your payoff is very mediocre. It's cool how the anime-only version of these kinds of cards for Crystal Beast shows the friendship with Jaden and Jesse. Well, that is nice. Now, what if it said extra deck? Ooh, that'd be crazy. All the letters were good. Sad that Hero Flash is so bad. I don't know if it's so bad. I think this card gets so outclassed by a Hero Lives. Pay half my life points, special summon directly from the deck, not restricted to normal monsters. I think that's the hardest sell. I think we just put it in bad. All this really says is do a bunch of damage, but all versions of Hero are already great at that. They need help in a bunch of other areas. I can agree with that. It's sad because Neos has potential. Next up, Power Capsule. And for this one, we'll need a visual aid. Here we go. Okay, we brought back the Vic Viper XX03. So, Power Capsule, normal spell, select one face-up Victory Viper XX03 you control to activate this card. Select one effect from Victory Viper XX03 and apply it as this card's effect. It's interesting, this is a substitution effect. I wonder how this card interacts with Diamond Dude. Can you just get a token off of this? I don't think you can. So, let's pull up the Victory Viper. What does it do? You could either give your Viper 400 attack, you could pop a card, or pop a spell or trap, or you could special summon a token, and the token's not bad. Unfortunately, I think Power Capsule is too specific. I can see an anime event where obviously they draw the Viper and they draw the Power Capsule, and then they activate the Power Capsules, power up their Viper, and then the Viper destroys something by battle and then gets more power. It's not that bad. I just think it's too hard to line up the two cards. Okay, we can put the Viper away. Other Konami game lore, yeah? More Gradius lore. Next up, Celestial Transformation. Quick play spell. Special summon one fairy monster from your hand. That's attack is halved. That monster's attack is halved. Also, it is destroyed during the end phase. I think there is a very important question asking how valuable card advantage is in the game. Do you sacrifice card advantage for tempo? Because you read this card and you think it's sort of like double summon, except it's not a normal summon, so you could get higher level monsters out of your hand with this. It is only fairies. You want to compare this card to like Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen, and maybe that's unfavorable because Valhalla you can bring out with Hecatrice, search directly from the deck. It is once per turn, but this one doesn't care about your current board position, and arguably having the monster's attack is also beneficial because then you can set up plays with Inferno Reckless Summon. It's a quick play spell, but I don't know what summon would be impactful enough to do on your opponent's turn. I see Time Lords use it sometimes, yeah. Not necessarily on your opponent's turn, but I've seen people say that Nightmare Incarnation Idole, is that how you say that? Yeah, Nightmare Incarnation Idly can be used. It's another way to special summon it from hand. It does have an inherent special summon, but link rating of 8 is pretty high. If this card is special summon while your opponent controls more link monsters than you do, you can send all link monsters on the graveyard on the field to the graveyard. That's not bad. Plus, it can't be destroyed by card effects, so you could bring it out, and this card actually sticks around if you wanted to. That's not bad during your opponent's turn. So maybe optimizing everything, you bring out Nightmare Incarnation idly during your opponent's turn after they've extended. This is true. That's pretty good. Okay. I think pretty good might be an overstatement. I could see this card being used in a gimmick. I can also see this card with, what is it, Agent of Judgment Saturn? The one that you can burn your opponent with. Setting up with this card. Special summon it from hand, bring out 2 more copies with Inferno Reckless Summon, and if you have enough life points compared to your opponent, you could FTK them. Not recommending that, but I see a little bit of niche potential for the card. In terms of actual play in the game, though, is it worth burning a card from your hand to extend your board position? And the answer is sometimes yes. Sometimes double summon is worth playing. There are some other cards that are similar to this, like Watt Kinetic Psychic Porter does sort of similar to this. There's been a lot of GX era cards that just special summon a monster from your hand at the cost of being a normal spell, which is interesting. I don't think any of them have been terribly impactful, though. Next up, Guard Penalty. Quick play spell. Select one monster on the field. If it's changed to defense position this turn, draw one card. This is not once per turn. It's a quick play spell, and it cycles through your deck faster. I think this card might be useful in certain decks. There's a lot of cards that switch themselves to defense position. I'm thinking like Karakuri just does this all the time, and you could just run 3 copies of Guard Penalty in your Karakuri deck and make it 3 cards faster. Effectively deck then. That's not that bad. Is there a situation where your opponent is, changing their monsters to defense position and you could surprise them with a Guard Penalty? Maybe. In your deck, are you running like those monsters that flip themselves back face down? Think Deslakuta, Swarm of Scarabs, Swarm of Locusts? Maybe. Are you running Little Wingguard, shift itself to defense position? Maybe. Are you just having monsters being special summoned by like Giant Rat and then shift them to defense position? Maybe. It is theoretically not once per turn. You just need multiple ways to change the defense position monster. Or you could chain 3 copies of these at the same time on the same monster. Guard Penalty is too situational. Upstart got unlimited recently, and it's rarely sees play. Okay, that's fair. I guess Guard Penalty is not good. I just see draw a card, and my mind starts going places, but I don't think that this is good enough. But what if you need 6 copies of Upstart Goblin? Yeah? Maybe you run it in Exodia? But what in Exodia is shifting itself to defense position? You probably run this in Empty Jar, to tell the truth, is where you would run this. Because in an Empty Jar, you're shifting your Morphing Jar / Cyber Jar back and forth from attack to defense a lot. It's insane with Spark Blaster. Maybe Gimmick's too high, but I don't know. I feel like it promotes something. Next up, we got one of the worst artwork censorship in the game, to the point where this confused me. Empty Jar could unironically run Guard Penalty. I agree with that. But Grand Convergence is one of the worst censorships in the game, because I got this card as a kid. I didn't understand what it was referencing in the art. So if you look very carefully in the TCG art, you can see that the planets are sort of aligned. But then you look at the OCG art, and then it's just so obvious. I think we're going to do Konami a favor. And we're going to see if we can fix the artwork today. Okay. turn off the card. Okay. I really think that this card is so easy to fix in the TCG. I just need to go to tools, go to paint tools, pick pencil, get a nice red color, maybe turn down the size a little, and we just circle, and we just circle. There we go. We add some Wojaks. Is that so hard? Would you just draw a line through them? No. They did a lost art for this card. It's silly it got censored. Yeah. I think, and this might be me reading too much into it, maybe it looks like an inverted crucifix if you're not being generous. To me, it definitely looks like it's out of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Specifically, you know, when there's a couple different points, not spoilers, but that imagery is definitely used in like episode 3, I want to say, where they fire the proton gun. Dude, I love the edition. That's a cross. Konami will ban your stream for depicting it. I don't think Konami has the authority to do that. Maybe they do. But yeah. I think this is just so bad. You can't even tell that it's a convergence in the TCG artwork. So let's bring the browser back up. And we'll bring the card back up. There we go. Some live thumbnail making. So what does it do? Grand Convergence, quick play spell. If you control Macrocosmos, inflict 300 damage to your opponent and destroy all monsters on the field. It's just a plus sign, yeah? Oh, the artwork isn't a cross, it's a plus sign. Oh, I get it. You're trying to talk your way out of saying you love the Wojaks? Oh. Maybe that's going too far. In terms of impact, though, Grand Convergence might be playable in your anti-meta decks. Ignore 300 points of damage. That's almost nothing. I don't know why this card has a little bit of burn damage. Maybe it causes certain monsters to miss the timing when they're destroyed. I don't actually know. Grand Convergence is really strong, yeah? I think the problem is that Macrocosmos is at 1 for most of the history of the game, and that's the reason why your Grand Convergence is not as strong as it should be. But man, under Macrocosmos, this card gets even better, because then it's Dark Hole, except it banishes everything. Timing this is also really good. This is a quick play spell, so it's better than Dark Hole situationally. If Macrocosmos was at 3, this could be in some trap decks, yeah. I think this card is a victim of, you know, Macro being too strong. But I like it. I wish Banner had more cards because I like their flavor a lot. Next up, Dimensional Fissure. Continuous trap, not continuous trap, continuous spell card. Any monster sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Really simple effect. This is an amazing floodgate. I don't know where I put it though. This is symmetric. I always gotta check because sometimes I forget when cards are banned. Yeah, this card's at 3. I think you're worth considering today that this is just a floodgate, and if your deck doesn't really care about the graveyard or even benefits from your monsters being banished, then yeah, you're running Dimensional Fissure. This card, going first, can just shut down your opponent's entire strategy. 100% worth considering. It's slightly balanced Macrocosmos. I don't know if it's balanced. What is Macro at now? Okay. Oh, Macrocosmos is also at 3 right now. I think the card's really strong. I do think that it's a little bit easier to pop now, though. Good floodgate, though. Next up, Clocktower Prison. Field spell. Hey, it's searchable with terraforming. Once per turn, during your opponent's standby phase, place 1 clock counter on this card. While there are 4 or more clock counters on this card, you do not take any battle damage. If this card with 4 or more clock towers is destroyed and sent to your graveyard, special summon 1 Destiny Hero Dreadmaster from your hand or deck. This card is really slow. It takes a minimum of 4 standby phases to accumulate those counters. Your opponent has 3 full turns to pop this card and it do nothing. Then this card doesn't do anything unless it's destroyed. And even then, you get a Dreadmaster. And Dreadmaster's okay, except it's going to destroy all the monsters on your side of the field, but it could revive your Destiny Hero monsters, which is good. It is from hand or deck, which means your Dreadmaster is not dead in hand. Of course, your Dreadmaster isn't dead in hand in general, because you can just normal summon it if you wanted to, or special summon it with other cards. Dreadmaster is strangely flexible for being an old school boss monster. Turboing Dreadmaster out in 5 turns. Blazingly fast, yeah. They forgot to give Clocktower Prison modern support. I don't know how you even fix this. I feel like counters in general are something that is extremely difficult to balance. That counters by nature are pretty slow, except for like spell counters, which can be too fast for the game when you think about things like Royal Magical Library just getting through your deck really fast, accumulating 3 spell counters, and then drawing a card over and over again. It's real hard to hit that sweet spot. Like, the counters in Cloudians and the counters in Aliens are pretty useful, but then the archetype has too much difficulty actually accumulating them. Individual cards that have counters, like Card Guard, have been playable, or Breaker the Magical Warrior, which just starts with a counter, and then you can use it. But I think counters in general are a balance point that Konami hasn't gotten comfortable with. Magic the Gathering just made an effect that basically says move the counters from one type of artifact to another one, and it broke some cards in really baffling ways. Thank you, Lamron Jr. I'm wondering what cards it broke. Time Vault is probably one of those cards that it broke. Time Vault is just nutty and has had a lot of trouble with counters. I think the other part about counters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Though is we get perfect counterplay to counters with counter cleanup, where you just remove them all. Maybe if there were some other counters in the game, like remove these counters and then something happens, then counter cleanup would also be significantly better because it could just get you to that condition faster. I think Clock Tower Prison is just really bad. They could make counters have effects like cubic counters. I think that's part of the right direction. I think you don't want your monsters to get too strong. You don't want to accumulate too much advantage too quickly. The game gets faster over time. I don't know. Cubic counters give you anxiety. It's true. I'm just sad. I think counters, trap cards, the flip summon, or the flip effects, all lost to time. Next up, Life Equalizer. Normal trap, activate only when the difference between both players' life points is 8,000 or more. Both players' life points become 3,000. I think this is the problem card. Recently we talked about Magical Explosion and Chicken Game. That in Chicken Game FTK you're running Magical Explosion to finish out the game. I don't think Magical Explosion's the problem, because you could possibly substitute it with like Blasting the Ruins if your deck's fast enough. Some other ways that you could get that lethal damage with not so much card disadvantage. But Life Equalizer, I think, is the problem. Is getting your opponent's life points down to 3,000 is the kill range, and you can just finish them off with very little card disadvantage. Like, Burn is always card disadvantage because you're throwing away your cards and you're just dealing damage, and damage doesn't matter until they're out of life points. I think this is the problem card. Like, if we banned Life Equalizer, we could probably put Magical Explosion to a higher number. I don't think Chicken Game would be healthy for the game, but I think it would be significantly better without Life Equalizer in the game. And maybe Hope for Escape. That's another card that gives you a big life point deficit and draws cards. Wasn't this part of the FTK? Yeah, this is the centerpiece of the FTK, I'd say. You need this card in order to do the FTK. I say it's the problem. I say it's a design mistake. I believe this card is banned in the OCG, but Chicken Game is not. Okay, so this card is forbidden in the OCG and unlimited in the TCG. And just variances in what is and isn't banned in the two formats. But I think this is the problem. I think we get rid of this and the game becomes healthier overall. Sort of like self-destruct button, just not healthy for the game. Old version of Exchange the Spirit, another card, just not healthy for the game. Next up, Elemental Recharge. Normal trap. Gain 1,000 life points for each face-up elemental hero monster you control. Why? Is this card worse than Dying Keto Cure Master, which doesn't care about your current board state and is a turn faster? Or maybe Poison of the Old Man, which does 1,200 life point regain and is even faster? And that one can also do burn damage. I say that burn cards are inherent card disadvantage because you're throwing away cards to get rid of your opponent's life points. This is significantly worse. You're getting rid of one of your cards to gain life points, which doesn't matter. Compare this to like Draining Shield, and the ceiling's pretty low, or even Enchanted Javelin, the ceiling's still pretty low. Nutrient Z. But you could potentially gain 5,000 life points. Why is it a trap? Arrowmage lore. Arrowmage / Elemental Hero crossover? No. Very much an anime card, yeah. Jaden does have, and this was pointed out in our previous stream, just a ton of cards, like get out of jail free cards that just burn through card advantage, does not advance his board state, but lets him, get a little bit deeper into the game and then make his comeback. I don't think this is good in Archetype. If this card said gain 1,000 life points for each monster you control, I don't think it'd be good. Deus Ex Machina anime cards. I agree. I think it's just bad. Next up, Destruction of Destiny. Normal trap, send 3 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, and take 1,000 damage for each spell or trap sent to the graveyard this way? Why would you want to do this? Keep in mind, Needlebug's Nest doesn't come out for like 10 years. So don't anchor your mind to, man, this card is just significantly worse than Needlebug Nest. This card can burn you for 3,000 damage. And the benefit of that is you go -1 and mill 3 cards. I don't understand when you would want to do this. If this card burned your opponent for 1,000 damage for each spell or trap that's sent to the graveyard, it'd be more interesting. I don't think that it'd be a good card for the health of the game. I think it'd be degenerate. But at least it would do something. But right now, it does nothing and hurts you. Which is just a baffling combination. At least we get Destiny draws sometime soon. Next up, Destiny Signal. Normal trap. When a monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower Destiny hero monster from your hand or deck. This is Hero Signal, except for Destiny heroes. I think we're gonna say it's acceptable in your Destiny hero deck. This brings out your Disc Commander, your Fearmonger. Those are not bad cards. I guess you could get Doomlord out if it's situationally viable. I don't know if Airblade Turbo ever ran Destiny Signal. I'm leaning towards it didn't because it's a slow trap and not particularly useful. You can get Diamond Dude out with it. Diamond Dude's really good. The problem is the condition's a little bit difficult. You gotta wait for your monster to be destroyed. I always wonder how much life point to gain would be worth it for these cards. I say 5,000 life points with Forbidden Memories, Diane Keto Cure Master. Spooky Dogwood can give you 20k and it's not worth it. That's true. What is it? Tenpai Dragon can just OTK after Spooky Dogwood. Jaden didn't even use Elemental Recharge, ironically enough. Destruction of Destiny goes crazy in self-FTK decks. Why do you want to self-FTK? And I don't think it even does, because you can't FTK with a trap card without Makira the Destructor or Temple of Kings. Self-OTK decks. You can bring out Destiny Hero Defender 4 defense. That is an option. I am so amazed that Destiny Hero Defender actually saw play at the time. Like, that is baffling to me because it gives your opponent cards, and you never want to give your opponent cards. But that is also a lot of defense, and it's a big body blocker, and you could probably just tribute it off during your next turn. So I can see the cards lining up. To me, it's like a Reflect Bounder, though, where why was this meta? You self FTK for fun. Okay. Next up, D-Time. Normal trap. When a face-up elemental hero monster you control leaves the field. Ooh. That is really flexible. Like, it can be bounced, it can be spun, it can be shuffled into the deck, it can be destroyed, it could be returned to hand, it could be used as material for something, or fusion material. I don't think if you overlay it, it would count. Anyway, add one Destiny Hero monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to that elemental hero monster's original level. That's not bad. Like, you're running Elemental Hero Stratos, right? In your Destiny Hero deck, because Stratos searches everything. Elemental Hero, or E-Emergency Call searches Stratos, Stratos searches everything else. D-Time is not bad in that situation. You might also be running a couple other of the Elemental Heroes, which are decent, like Bubble Man, maybe Neo Salius in your Gemini Spark variant. Shadow Mist now is really good. Blaze Man's good. I can see this card being useful in Archetype. I know the archetype that it's referring to is a little bit weird, but that's not bad. Is it as good as D-Signal? I don't think so, but I still think it's interesting. What? Self-FTK is good in Master Duel and Duel Links because you still get rewards in PvP if you lose. Surrenders are not counted. What kind of metagame is that? Where you get rewarded for playing the game poorly. That was crazy. Next up, continuing our D theme, we get D Shield. Normal trap. When an attack position Destiny Hero monster you control is targeted for an attack, target it. Change it to defense position and equip it with this card. The equipped monster cannot be destroyed by battle. Interesting. I think equip traps are something that never quite translated into the main game. It's something from the manga, and there are several that actually exist, but never got the equip trap type. Think like Blast with Chain, Kunai with Chain, those type of cards. This is another one of those. It supports Destiny Heroes. Is this better than like Mist Body? It's a little bit situationally better because you shift it into defense position. Is this a combat trick? Yes. Is it probably going to buy you a turn? Yes. Is this more useful than Negate Attack or Threatening Roar or Thunder of Ruler? And the answer is probably not, even in Archetype. I think it's just filler. Next up, Icarus Attack. Normal trap. Tribute one winged beast monster. Tribute one winged beast monster, then target 2 cards on the field. Destroy them. This is a really simple effect. There's some clones of this card that come out later in the game, but man, Icarus Attack is really strong in the right situation. For one thing, you're trading a monster and a trap, potentially for popping 2 monsters. So it's not bad in terms of tempo. Remember that your spell and traps are worth less inherently than your monsters because monsters are harder to get out for the majority of the game. Icarus attack is really strong, and it was definitely meta whenever wing beast monsters were meta. So you think your Harpies, you think your Blackwings, you think your Raid Raptors, they were all running Icarus attack. I think the card has definitely fallen off, though, just because traps are not worth running anymore. They keep printing Icarus attack for different types. The fish / aqua / sea serpent one is searchable and it sees play. That's good. Comment about the shield. You can use this to keep Destiny Hero Defender in attack position until their standby phase so that they don't draw. But no. Because Defender it shifts it to defense position. I guess you shift it back to attack position, but then you'd still take the damage. I don't agree with that one. I wish the game were slow enough for Icarus attack to make more of an impact, but what can you do? Next up, Elemental Absorber. Continuous trap. Remove from play 1 monster card in your hand to activate this card. Why? Your opponent's monsters that have the same attribute as the monster removed by this effect cannot declare an attack. This banishes a monster from your hand, and then arguably is worse than like Wall of Revealing Light, or Swords of Revealing Light, or Gravity Bind, or Nightmare's Steel Cage. There's a lot of cards that we could compare unfavorably to this. It just blocks 1 attribute too. I know that becomes a little bit better later in the game where decks are more unified in terms of attribute, but not at this point. At this point, you're just playing all your best cards in 1 deck. Punish yourself for playing trap cards? Oh, yeah. I just don't understand. This card is very weak, and I don't think for any reason. If it banished a monster from your graveyard, then it wouldn't be so big of a cost, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's for the flavor. If this card just said declare an attribute, and then monsters of that attribute can't attack, it might be playable. But right now, it's just loss of card advantage. And you also got to come up in the situation where you're playing the same attribute of monsters as your opponent. So I guess a mirror match. And then your monsters can still attack. I don't know. Elemental Absorber, really bad. Next up, Macrocosmos. When this card is activated, you can special summon 1 Helios the Primordial Sun from your hand or deck. Where is Helios? Helios isn't in this set, is it? When do we get Helios? So Helios comes out in 2006 314. When are we? Helios should already be in the game. Did we talk about those? I don't remember talking about these cards. Did I skip the promos for Ultimate Masters? Oh no. I skipped them. It looks like they should have been in the middle of last stream. I wonder how I missed that. That they should have been between Hero Spirit and Skellingle. Let's fix that. Let's fix that right now. I can't believe it. I messed up. Okay. Oops. There we go. Oh, I feel so bad for missing these. But that's okay. We got live fixing it. We forgive you. Thank you. Helios's video game promo, yeah? Macrocosmos might be a design mistake, even if it's at 3 now. Helios is the problem because it allows you to solemn Macrocosmos. Yeah, with solemn warning. Okay. Well, we got them. It's so weird. I got a big spreadsheet of all the cards released, and I guess I just forgot one of the video game promos. Well, let's go over them now. First up, Golden Homunculus. Light attribute, level 6. Warrior effect. Why is this a warrior? Why isn't this a rock? Gains 300 attack / defense for each of your banished cards. Okay. 1500 attack, 1500 defense. Hey, you could bring this out with Shining Angel or Nova Summoner, and it gets pretty beefy. I know there were a few decks at the time that would tribute summon this card and just be big attack monster, but I don't think it's particularly good. Oh, those are not going to be right. How do we fix that? Should have added files, not directory. Okay. There we go. Man, doing things live. Next up, we got Helios, the Primordial Sun. Light Attribute, level 4, Pyro, Effect. Light Attribute Pyro, don't see a lot of those. This card's attack/defense become the number of your banished monsters times 100. Question mark attack, question mark defense. Getting this monster from the deck for free is not bad. And then, of course, it powers itself up with Macrocosmos, but this is not bad. You don't see a lot of special summoning out from the deck. I think the actual monster's not great, but it's also not underwhelming. I think it's pretty good. And then finally, let's get the last one. Helios Duo Majestus. Light Attribute, level 6, Pyro Effect. You can special summon this card from your hand by tributing 1 Helios the Primordial Sun. This card's attack/defense become the number of your banished monsters times 200. During the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was destroyed by battle and sent there this turn, how? You can special summon this card and it gains 300 attack/defense. That's a little bit weird because if you got Macrocosmos out on the field to get your Helios, the Primordial Sun, how is this guy ending up in your graveyard after it's being destroyed? There's also Trismegistus, which is a reference to Hermes Trismegistus and a big, long alchemy tangent, but I guess it wasn't printed in the promo set for this set. So, Grin Maju outclasses Golden Homunculus. It being a tribute kinda sucks. Classic anti-synergy, yeah. I guess it's anime logic. But yeah. Now we're going to pretend like we did that last week. That we didn't forget those promo cards. It is funny that, what is it? Blue Eyes Shining Dragon was released and you couldn't actually play it. But this time it's me. I made a mistake. Back to Macrocosmos. Continuous trap. When this card is activated, you can special summon 1 Helios the Primordial Sun from your hand or deck. Yay. When this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Also yay. We've had regular streams for a while, though. Thanks. Super Ultra Mega Sand is hot. Wow, 10 months since your last upload? Yeah, I know, it's been a while. I'm trying to be consistent with the stream schedule, at least. It's hard to get out the volume of content that I want, so. At least something is coming out each week. And to me, I think that that's a little victory. Really? YouTube never notified me? Lol. Oh, sorry. It has been weekly for like a month or two. Anyway, I think Macrocosmos being a trap is the only thing holding it back. Is that you have to go first and then you gotta set it and then you can really disrupt your opponent. But the card's really strong. Like right up next to Dimensional Fizzer. Maybe above it. I know someone asked for it to be a design mistake because it just banishes everything and because it was on the FNL list for so long, but I think the card is good, but not overwhelming. I think that there's enough counterplay for Macrocosmos, and as someone mentioned, you can Solemn Warning this card, and that's pretty good. I thought the stream was the first thing you made since the Q&A video? No, we try to do the streams every week on Thursdays. Been pretty consistent since then. Last week we had a Friday stream because I was out of town. But yeah, Macrocosmos, definitely worth considering today, even though it's a trap. Maybe worth considering today. I don't know. I'm on the fence. YouTube notification thing is pretty terrible then. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Next up, Miraculous Descent. Continuous trap. Target one of your banished fairy monsters. Special summon it. When this card leaves the field, destroy the target. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. Hey, I think you can tribute your monster like you can with Call of the Haunted, and this Miraculous Descent just stays on the field. I don't think that they've learned that lesson quite yet. You can also bounce this and then your monster would stay on the field. No, you can't. You can't bounce this because that would destroy your monster. So they did learn one of the lessons from Call of the Haunted. Or from Premature Burial, not Call of the Haunted. But they didn't learn the other one. You can still tribute your monster and keep this card on the field if you wanted to. Magical Planter synergy, I guess. I think this card is okay. It's not as good as Call of the Haunted, but Call of the Haunted's at 1. It's your banished fairies, and it's only fairies. I wouldn't be surprised if this saw play in counter fairy decks at the time, but I'm not sure I've seen it. So it might just stay good on release. We get much better cards in the future. We get Different Dimension Reincarnation, DDR, significantly better than Miraculous Descent, but we don't get that card for quite some time. We also get Escape from the Dark Dimension, which is not better than Miraculous Descent because it's dark monsters instead of just fairies, but it is an interesting side grade. I know that there is overlap. There are some dark fairies that you could potentially get with both, but ignore that. Last card in the set, and it's... oh, never mind. Second to last card in the set. Shattered Axe. Continuous trap. Activate this card by targeting one face-up monster on the field. During each of your standby phases, it loses 500 attack. When that target is destroyed, destroy this card. Why does this card exist? Like, think about Snake Fang, right? Snake Fang reduces your opponent's attack by 500 one time. And that card's pretty bad. This card does it during your standby phases, so you gotta wait until your turn for it to do anything. I understand that Shattered Axe is like the name, but it's more like Shattering Axe, where it's slowly crumbling away. But man, compare this to like any impactful card. Would you want Shattered Axe, or would you want Nightmare Wheel, which is already in the game, does burn damage, prevents them from attacking? Compare this to Shadow Spell. Shadow Spell also prevents them from attacking, decreases their attack by 700, which is faster. This card is worse than Shadow Spell, arguably worse than Spellbinding Circle. And when we get Fiendish Chain, that card's significantly better. Nightmare Wheel, This card's worse than Nightmare Wheel. It's so slow. We also have Shrink. That's a good point. Shrink's in the game. Mask of the Accursed also outclasses it? Yeah. I think this card's just very bad. I don't understand why this card exists or why it was released so late in the history of the game. Now the actual last card in the set. Force Back. Counter Trap. Negate the normal summon or flip summon of a monster and return it to the owner's hand. And we gotta think about this one for a second. So your counter trap is bouncing it back to hand. So you are going -1 to negate a normal or flip summon. When is that useful? It's not a special summon. This isn't Black Horn of Heaven. We get Black Horn of Heaven in a set or two. This is only really good if your opponent is tribute summoning a monster. And even then, it's 1-for-1 in terms of card advantage. It does set them back significantly in terms of board presence. You could say that Force Back is useful in counter fairies, because then you'd recoup the advantage with Bountiful Artemis or Layard the Liberator, or convert it into at least some board presence with your Adjudicator. Those aren't bad options. This is terrible after turn 1. I can agree with that. I think Forced Back is outclassed by most of the trap holes most of the time, unless you're in counter fairies. It's good against Monarchs, I agree. And Monarchs, Perfect Circle Monarchs, are completely playable at this point. It negates their normal summon too, so they're not even getting their own summon effect. Putting your opponent back a turn. Unless they're like using Treeborn Frog, this is a significant blow against Monarchs. And that's why this card was meta at one point, which is crazy to me. Yeah, it reminds me of Malfunction, and Malfunction and Goblin Out of the Frying Pan, those were in the last set. Force Back is so broken that Double Summon is the only counter to the power. What if they have 2 Forced Backs? Then GG game 2. Okay. I think the only time when one of the trap holes is worse than this is when you're getting on summon effects. And yeah, Force Back is better for that. And that's it for Enemy of Justice. We're going to go over the 2 structure decks and then those suspicious looking cards at the end. First up, we have Exod, Master of the Guard. And this is like Exodia's third cousin once removed, I think. I don't know how in the lore this is related to Exodia. I know someone's pointed out that if you take the attack and defense of all the little pieces of Exodia, so the left arm, right arm, left leg, right leg, and Exodia the Forbidden One, sum them together, you get 4,000, and that's this monster's defense. But like, this doesn't have anything to do with the pieces of Exodia. Are we shaking hands? Not quite yet. Wasn't this guy the boss monster for the worst structure deck in the game? Yes. Now, why is he the boss monster? Good question. I don't think that he single-handedly is the reason why the structure deck was so bad, but he definitely helps. Earth Attribute, level 8. They love level 8s recently. Rock Effect. This card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card cannot be special summoned except by tributing 1 Sphinx monster. So that's not actually that hard. You do have Pyramid of Light. You could bring out Sphinxes that way if you wanted to. Cryo Sphinx you can bring out of the deck with Giant Rat if you wanted to. Guardian Sphinx is searchable because it's a Guardian monster and you got Arsenal Summoner. And Guardian Sphinx is pretty good on its own. Each time an Earth monster is flip summoned, while this card remains face up on the field, inflicts 1,000 damage to your opponent. 0 attack, 4,000 defense. That's not a lot of damage. Just flip summoning, which is something that takes up, your once per turn flip summon. You can't loop it. This card is really weak. I know you can special summon it in defense position, but then you just got a big wall and your opponent's just going to pop it. I guess you could run Sword and Shield or Great Spirit is the next card in the set. Swap it to 4,000 attack, but man, the support for this card is bad. The effect is bad. The whole deck is bad. It's very bad. Next up, Great Spirit. This card's never been reprinted, and I wonder why. Earth Attribute, level 4, Rock, effect. Once per turn during your main phase, you can flip this card into face-down defense position. When this card is flip summoned, you can switch the original attack of one face-up Earth monster on the field until the end of this turn. 500 attack, 1,500 defense. That is so slow. You gotta have this card set, then flip it face up. And then your benefit is Sword and Shield. Compare this to like Medusa Worm in the same deck that gets to pop monsters when you flip it face up. And this card is just outclassed. It's so sad. Synergy. Yeah, I guess technically. Finally, last card unique to this deck is Canyon. Also never been reprinted. Don't know why. Field spell. If a rock-type monster in defense position is attacked, double any battle damage to the controller of the attacking monster. We have Demise of the Land, and actually we have Metaverse too, that could potentially surprise your opponent. Haha, you fell into my trap, Canyon. I guess if you really wanted to. But this card telegraphs your strategy. Just setting a face down monster, they might attack into it, think it's a flip effect, or think that it's a bluff, and then maybe take some damage. But this is telling you, don't attack my face down defense position monsters. Stone Statue of the Aztecs and Canyon does big damage. Yep. Canyon is awful. It telegraphs your strategy. Yep. Exod synergy. How does it synergize with Exod? Imagine the synergy with Battle Mania. Man. I guess with the goading effect you could, like with Shift. But man, Kenya is just so bad. Whose idea was it to make this structure deck? Like 3 unique cards only seen here ever. Never been reprinted. No one ever cares. Giga Brain, play Canyon, and Pac-Man so that they don't attack Medusa Worm? Okay. My goals are beyond your understanding. Let's move on to the other structure deck. Lord of the Storm. So we get Simorgh, Bird of Divinity. Wind attribute, level 7. Winged Beast effect. This card cannot be special summoned. If you tribute summon this card, all tributes must be wind. Each player takes 1,000 damage during each of their end phases while this card remains face up on the field. The damage is decreased by 500 for each spell or trap the player controls. 2,700 attack, 1,000 defense. So, one of the themes of the structure deck that this card is in is spell and trap removal. You get Swift Birdman Joe, you get Icarus attack, you get Harpy's Hunting Ground. So the strategy is you bring out Samorg, Bird of Divinity, and then you pop all your opponent's spell and traps so that they'd be taking 1,000 damage during each of their end phases. The problem is Samorg has no inherent protection, and they're just gonna pop Samorg. And it decreases the damage. If this card just did 1,000 damage each turn to your opponent, not just to you, just to your opponent, it would be outclassed by Stealth Bird, a level 4 monster that coincidentally flips itself back face down, and then every time you flip it up, it deals 1,000 damage. This card, on its surface, is worse than Stealth Bird. And it just gets worse. You can decrease the damage. I don't understand why they thought this card needed to be nerfed. And it can't be special summoned. And when you do tribute summon it, it's got to have wind attribute monsters. Actual Samorg lore. Was this first Samorg? Yes, it's the first Samorg. Samorg is still the only target for wind entity? I think you're thinking of the other monster. That there are no wind normals that require 2 tributes. Yeah, I think you're thinking the other Samorg Bird of Eternity? What is the name of that one? Samorg Bird of Ancestry? Okay, that card's name is Samorg Bird of Ancestry. Oh, but you can use Leonardo's Silver Skyship. Oh, no, wait, that card's illegal. Similar, though. Samorg Board of Ancestry. It's been a long day. Samorg Bird of Ancestry, I think, comes much later than this. LODT. When is LODT? It gets released in Light of Destruction in 2008. So, not in the game yet. The thing about this card is that being able to use any monster to tribute for it would be too good. I doubt it. The condition ain't worth it for 1,000 effect damage. I think they were thinking of Wind Effigy, which only works for 2 tribute summons. Yeah. Whirlwind Prodigy works with this card, though, if you do have Whirlwind Prodigy. Man, this card is just so bad. I'm gonna put it next to Exod. The worst part about Exod is that they hyped it up as Exodia. Like, oh, this is the new Exodia at the time, and then you get trash. Next up, Sonic Shooter. Wind attribute, level 4, Winged Beast, effect. If there are no cards in your opponent's spell and trap zone, this card can attack your opponent directly. If it does, the battle damage inflicted to your opponent is equal to the original attack of this card. 1,300 attack, 600 defense. Didn't we see this card earlier? When did we see this? Isn't this just Cyber Tutu? Let me check. Okay, it's similar to Cyber Tutu. I guess it's slightly better. But I find Sonic Shooter to be underwhelming. I know that this is a payoff for what the deck does. And what the deck does is not particularly good. I'm going to put it right next to Cyber Tutu. Made it before the friendship cards? Just in time? Yeah! I think I understand what they were going with Sonic Shooter, but it's just not good. This card does synergize with the Swift Birdman Joe, I guess, and might also be the Swift Birdman Joe. Laura's weird. And finally, last card unique to this structure deck is Hysteric Party. Continuous Trap. Activate this card by discarding one card. Special summon as many copies of Harpy Lady as possible from your graveyard. When this face-up card leaves the field, destroy those monsters. So this triggers Harpy's Hunting Ground. And you did run this in Harpies. Just special summoning as many as possible is always fun text to see on a card. And this is a big push, a big tempo push, or a big combo, big comeback card for your Harpy deck. It does suck that you have to discard a card, but if you're bringing back 2 monsters, then that's not bad. And if you're bringing back 3 monsters, which is not that hard since so many cards treat themselves as Harpy Lady in the graveyard, then you're going +1, and that's pretty strong. Not worth it today, but definitely worth it when Harpies were meta. Plus, you know, getting to use Harpy's Hunting Ground, pop some cards, not bad. I wish the whole deck were themed around Harpies. It'd be significantly better in my opinion. Finally, we're on to our Jump promo cards. Our very few cards actually reference the actual anime. So starting off, we get Unity. Quick play spell. Select one monster on your side of the field. The defense of the selected monster becomes equal to the combined original defense of all face-up monsters on your side of the field until the end of this turn. When is this useful? I guess you could be running Unity in your Canyon defense deck, maybe? I think most of the time this is outclassed by Shrink, because you're not even destroying their monster if they're ramming into your monster with defense. Another Exod synergy? Okay. Harpies need new support. I think their last new card was 3 years ago. I can agree with that. Harpies are great. I think you play Unity, but only for one reason, and we'll talk about that next. Next card is Yugo Friendship. Yujo Friendship? Is this the first half of Yugi's name and the first half of Joey's name? Which I think is Jonochi in Japanese? Is that what it is? Is that what the reference is? This might have gone over my head for years. Normal spell. Offer your opponent a handshake. If they accept your handshake, each player's life points become half the combined life points of both players. If you have Unity in your hand and show it to your opponent, they must accept the handshake. This card is really weird. Nah, no one plays Unity for their effect. They play it to force your opponent to touch your Cheeto-filled hands with Yujo Friendship. That's not how the card works, unfortunately. So you don't actually have to shake hands for Yujo Friendship. You just have to accept the idea of having a handshake with your opponent, and this is the actual ruling for the card. I will pepper spray my hands so that they have to scoop. They might get in. They might get it. There's someone that likes Harpy's Rush. They just kept on getting support until they nerfed them. Oh. Worth considering today, because who wants to shake their hand, forfeit the duel? I think the story of people dirtying their hands for Yugo Friendship was never actually a thing. The card doesn't work that way. You just need to accept the handshake. You don't have to actually shake hands. Anyway, these two cards of Unity and Yugo Friendship have one application, and that's when you are playing the Winged Dragon of Ra. You pay all your life points until you're down to 100. You activate Yugo Friendship. You get the average of your 2 life points when you have Unity in your hand, and then you deal damage with your big Winged Dragon of Ra. And this was an actual strategy that people were playing. But just thinking about this card, like, isolate it, just Yugo Friendship. When are you going to do this? When are you just going to accept the concept of averaging your life points with your opponent? You never want to do that. I think Life Equalizer is this card, but better, but also worse for the game. Harpies got out of a tier 0 format. They had like 80 to 90% meta representation because they were hyper consistent contact fusion deck with an archetypal chimera tech, basically. That's amazing. Play it against an opponent that hates you, they won't even accept the idea. I think Yugo's Friendship, Unity, and Judgment of the Pharaoh are really expensive since they never got a reprint. Oh, that's probably true. I wonder, do I have any of these cards? Speaking of Judgment of the Pharaoh, last card in the video. Oh, we'll put these in Gimmick Terror where they belong. That was the only application I think that ever happened with the cards. Judgment of the Pharaoh, normal trap. Pay half your life points, select and activate an appropriate effect which can be applied. If Yugo Friendship is in your graveyard, until the end of this turn, your opponent cannot normal summon, set, flip summon, or special summon a monster's or activate an effect monster's effect, and their monster's effects are negated. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. What's the other one? If Unity is in your graveyard, until the end of this turn, negate the effects of all spell and trap cards on your opponent's side of the field, and your opponent cannot activate or set spell or traps. Those effects are crazy. The Judgment of the Pharaoh is not holding back. It is weird that he's got like the Eye of Horus on his forehead. What is that from? Honestly, not bad. Foolish Burial of Goods, Yujo turn 1 and make your opponent cry during their turn. Wow. Yeah. I think we're gonna put it with its friends. Is there a way to cheese this? I don't think there's a way to cheese this where you can just activate Judgment of the Pharaoh. Without Yujo Friendship. Even with Unity, I can see a couple points in the history of the game where just stopping all your opponent's spell and traps could win you the game. That was crazy. Wow, I might try this, yeah. But I think that's the list. Can you cheese it with transaction rollback or bot? I don't think so. I think you still need to have the cards in graveyard before you can activate it. Select and activate an appropriate effect which can be applied. Oh no. Oh no. When my computer shut off, it removed the things I had copied to the clipboard. Don't forget to save. Yep. We're doing that now. I'm gonna save. Download image. This one went longer than expected, but we're coming back next week with another stream. Next week is Power of the Duelist, I believe. Judgment of the Pharaoh art is so funny. It reminds me of Nelson from The Simpsons saying, "Ha ha!" That's a great note to end on the stream. Okay. Well, I hope everyone sleeps well. It's late here. So good night. I'll see you next Thursday. Power of the Duelist.